Israel versus Ishmael. The truth of Hagar. Ishmael and the covenant. The setup. Flesh versus promise. Abram at first was promised by Yah that his seed would be as the stars. Genesis 15:5. But years passed, Sarah was barren and faith was pressed. Sarah gave Hagar, her Egyptian maid, to Abraham. Genesis 16:1-3. Abraham agreed and Hagar conceived Ishmael. This was not sin in their culture. It was common for barren wives to give handmaids to their husband, but it was not the covenant method Yah spoke. It was human workaround. Lesson: fleshly efforts can produce fruit, but not covenant destiny. The birth of Ishmael. Hagar bore Ishmael when Abraham was 86 years old. Genesis 16:15-16. His name means Yah hears, because Yah heard Hagar's cry in the wilderness. Even though he was not the covenant child, he was still seen and heard by Yah. That's mercy. The blessing of Ishmael. Abraham later cried out to Yah, "Oh, that Ishmael might live before you." Genesis 17:18. Yah replied, As for Ishmael, I have heard you. Behold, I have blessed him and will make him fruitful and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall be gotten, and I will make him a great nation. Genesis 17:20. Ishmael fathered 12 sons. These became 12 tribal leaders, kings and rulers of nations stretching across Arabia. Ishmael blessed in the physical realm. Nations came from him. The covenant with Isaac. But Yahuwah drew the line clear. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto you at this set time in the next year. Genesis 17:21. Ishmael blessed but outside the covenant. Isaac, miracle child of promise, covenant bloodline. Later Yah told Abraham, and Isaac shall your seed be called. Genesis 21:12. Covenant, about chosen seed, not just bloodline. Isaac carried the eternal promise that would pass through Jacob, then the 12 tribes of Israel. Prophetic pattern. This story reveals a bigger truth. Ishmael, what man produced by flesh effort and patience, blessed but temporary. Isaac, what Yah produced by covenant promise, miraculous, eternal. This is why Ishmael's descendants became strong, warlike nations, but they never displaced the chosen covenant line of Israel. Ishmael was not rejected entirely. Yah heard him, blessed him, multiplied him. But the covenant inheritance and eternal promise belonged to Isaac and his line, Israel. This shows blessing is not the same as covenant. Many nations can be blessed, but only those in Yah's covenant walk in his eternal purpose. Ishmael cast out, the divide revealed. In Genesis 21:9-14, tension grew. Sarah saw Ishmael mocking Isaac during the feast of weaning. She demanded Abraham cast out Hagar and Ishmael, declaring, "The son of this bondwoman shall not be here with my son, even with Isaac." Abraham was distressed, but Yahuwah confirmed Sarah's words. "And Isaac shall your seed be called, and also of the son of the bondwoman will I make a nation, because he is your seed." Genesis 21:12-13. Truth. Y'all separated covenant inheritance from mere physical lineage. Ishmael could live, grow, multiply, but not share in the covenant heirship. Wilderness test. Yah still hears Ishmael. When Hagar and Ishmael were sent away, they wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. Water ran out, and Hagar placed Ishmael under a shrub, weeping that he might not die. But the angel of Elohim called from heaven, "Fear not, for Yah hath heard the voice of the Lord where he is. Arise, lift up the Lord, for I will make him a great nation. Then a well of water was revealed. Ishmael survived, grew, and became an acre, dwelling in the wilderness of Paran. His mother took him a wife from Egypt. This shows mercy of Yah. He still hears even those outside covenant, but mercy equals covenant. Ishmael's line versus Isaac's line. The Tanakh records Ishmael, 12 sons, as princes. Genesis 25:16. They were leaders, kings, desert dwellers, mighty in the flesh, but they were scattered nations, not bound in covenant unity. Their destiny was temporal power, not eternal inheritance. By contrast, Isaac's line passed to Jacob, renamed Israel. Israel's 12 sons were not just princes. They became tribes under a covenant oath tied to Torah, land, and promise. Ishmael, nations of might. Israel, nation of covenant. Prophetic implications, two streams in history. Throughout history, Ishmael's descendants multiplied, often contending with Israel. Prophecy declared, he shall be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand will be against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of his brethren. Genesis 16:12. This describes ongoing conflict, not covenant peace. Ishmael's seed would rise, clash, scatter, but never dethrone Israel's covenant position. This is why Israel remains. The covenant root cannot be broken, even if surrounded by nations, brethren in the flesh. Why Israel still stands today. Nations rise and fall. Empires of Ishmael line, kingdoms of Edom, rulers of the earth, yet Israel endures because covenant is eternal, not conditional on fleshly power. The prophets echo this. For I am Yahuwah. I change not, therefore your sons of Jacob are not consumed. Malachi 3:6. Though I make a full end of all nations, yet I will not make a full end of you. Jeremiah 30:11. This is the anchor. Israel stand because the covenant is unbreakable. Flesh may rise, but covenant remains. The truth the world must hear. Many nations are blessed by Yah's mercy, like Ishmael, but blessing is not covenant. Only Israel, through the covenant made with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, carries the eternal inheritance, land, Torah, promise, presence. That is why Israel stands while kingdoms of flesh fall. Ishmael was heard, but Isaac was chosen. Nations were born, but Israel was covenant. Blessings pass, but covenant endures.